Okay, everybody, happy Tuesday. Big waves to you. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, all right. Lot going on. Lot going on. Especially in my legs today. I'm super sore. I started this, thought it was a great idea to do this thing called 90 Day Shred. Had my first workout yesterday and experiencing the effects of it today. Okay. So I don't know if any of you put a one in the comment if you know what I'm talking about. Where your previous self thought it was a good idea to do something, right? Your present self is not quite. No, it's actually a great thing. So, happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you're having a marvelous day so far. We didn't see any birthdays today. So, if it's your birthday, please let us know. And the word for today is a good one. It's a good one for me. Hopefully, it is for you. It's cultivate. Cultivate. And if you look at the definition of cultivate, it's like the means to intentionally develop, to intentionally improve, to intentionally nurture, to intentionally grow something over time. My mentor years ago, anytime I would complain about business, he said, "You just got to get bigger, Brent. If you want to get bigger, what do you got to do? Grow." And I'd always not like what I hear. You ever like that before where you listen to somebody and sometimes you don't like what they say? You're like, oh, I knew they were going to say that. So cultivate is intentionally doing something like developing, improving, nurturing, growing. And originally, if you think about cultivate, and I had farming blood on both sides of my family, um, that's where it came from. It was crops, like nurturing crops. Man, can you imagine how tough that is? You're praying for the rain. You're praying for it to stop rain. You're having to cultivate the dirt, plant, cultivate it again, work it, and then it starts to bear fruit. But there's a lot of things that has to happen in that cultivating process. And I got to think about that this morning as I was thinking about this word, and it's like, you know what else is like that? Relationships. Anytime, so in my profession, I'm going to use the profession for instance, anytime I want to grow and I want to, I did a prospect call with Alan Schultz yesterday. And this lady's looking at our business. Well, guess what? If she joins, Alan's got to cultivate that relationship. He can't just, it wouldn't it be nice if you just sign them up and they just take off and you ain't got to, it doesn't work that way. It's kind of like a crop. You got to sow the seeds and you got to cultivate it and you got to nourish it, right? So he's got to cultivate the relationship for it to sprout and bear fruit. You also got to cultivate confidence. I say this all the time in business, especially like if you don't have confidence in your presentation, guess what? Present. Isn't that a crazy thing? Presenting will actually cultivate confidence. If I don't have confidence in inviting people or prospecting people, guess what? Invite people, prospect people. Guess what, Ken Stringer? Isn't that funny how you'll actually cultivate confidence when you do it? Kind of like a baseball player says, I'm terrible at bunting. Well, guess what? Start bunting and you'll get better. Isn't that crazy? When you do something, something happens. And you start to cultivate confidence. But I'll tell you this, through that, you start to cultivate peace. Have you ever laid your head down on the pillow at night and knew you put in a good day? Isn't that something? You sleep better. You have more peace because I knew I did the thing I needed to do to make it go. Okay? I've also had the opposite where I've laid down my head at night and I wanted to blame George. It's George's fault I'm not doing what I need to do. No, it's not George's fault. It's my fault. It's my fault. I got to do what I got to do to get bigger, to grow, and to cultivate what I want. So I also got to do it with discipline. Man, 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 have I learned this lesson the hard way. Think about my health journey, Andrea. I will go, man, I'll get really good. And then what happened? I got discipline problems, especially when I see a good bowl of ice cream approaching me. Discipline problems. And I don't know about you, but once I do one bowl, for some reason, before I know it, it turns into 7 days of ice cream. Wow, talking about discipline issues. I'll do the same thing in the weight room or working out or exercising or whatever. Like I'm on it, I'm on it, I'm on it, and then I fall off the wagon. It's been 2 weeks, but 2 weeks turns into a year, and I'm like, what's happened? Discipline. I got to cultivate discipline. So here's the thing, and I'm going to turn it to Andrea. Good things, great things, success, journeys, it rarely appears overnight. I wished it would, but it's just not the way the world works. It appears and it's most meaningful when you have to cultivate, when you have to grow through consistency, through patience, through care, just like that farmer does when he's planting or she's planting that crop every single year. And if I'm not willing to do that, then I shouldn't be mad because I'm not getting what I want. So, Andrew, I'll turn it to you. Great word today for me. I don't know about you, but really good word for me.
I think it's a great word, and I think we just figured something out, Coach. You are a consistent human. Now we know this, but you just push that consistency to your ice cream, right? Like you're not going to just do it every once in a while. You're going to be consistent, and there's power in consistency.
There is power. There's power in consistency. You're right. Especially if your goal's to be fluffy.
I love it.
Maybe that's my goal. Maybe I
I love
just
it.
kidding.
Well, today is day two for the shred for me as well. So when you guys see me walking by and I'm a little stiff, just know that we're working on building some muscles and we're trying here. We're trying to cultivate some muscles at the Rosser household. So don't judge too hard. So the quote that I found was, whatever you consistently cultivate today will eventually shape your tomorrow. So what I kind of looked into was, what are we actually trying to cultivate? Because I think sometimes we can cultivate things that we don't necessarily want. So, like that extra fluffiness that maybe we're not looking for, or whatever it may be. So, things that are worth cultivating. How about a peaceful mind? Doesn't that sound lovely? Like a calm and relaxed, peaceful mind. Vicky, let's rock it. How about strong relationships? How about integrity? Or, ooh, here's a good one, a healthy body. Is that not the most priceless thing that we can have as a body that can serve us instead of, controlling us where we have to say, ooh, I can't do that. How about cultivating gratitude? Or how about this one? I think this is a good one. Financial, not only wisdom, because don't we all know what we're supposed to do with our money, but how about financial security, right? Doesn't that sound lovely? Financial freedom, emotional maturity. Can I admit that I had a little temper tantrum yesterday? I had a moment yesterday where it was such beautiful emotional immaturity on the freeway yesterday that words came out of my mouth that I actually laughed at the words that I said because I was like, wow, that was actually a little bit impressive. But I had an actual temper tantrum at 50 years old on the highway yesterday. So we can cultivate some emotional maturity that I did not exhibit yesterday. How about cultivating curiosity and being teachable in our life? How about cultivating joy in the ordinary moments when you can just find the blessing in the small moments, the ordinary moments when you're just not doing anything too exciting? And how about this one, a life that you don't constantly need a vacation from? And I'm a vacationer. I like a good vacation, but isn't it lovely when we get home into our own home and we go, man, I loved my vacation, but I sure like being right here. So what I looked into is, okay, well, how do we cultivate these things? All of these things sound well and and good, but how do we cultivate it? And I'm going to run through this really, really quickly because we need to. So first of all, be patient with slow growth. We're not going, just like Coach said, like if I plant the seed today, I'm not going to have the tree tomorrow. I've got to be willing to wait for the process to happen. Two, I've got to stop digging up those seeds to look if they're growing. I have grown a garden before and I've peeked, right? Like, is there anything happening? And what did I do? I killed my little seedlings. So our life is the same way. If we're constantly kind of digging up and trying to check our progress, well, we're going to slow things down. Next, I've got to pay attention to the things that are actually draining me versus the things that are strengthening me. So if I think, this is not bringing me joy, well, then I've got to be willing to do a little weeding in my garden and pull some things out if they don't serve me anymore. Next, I've got to build some habits that support my future self, whatever that may be. I've got to lean into those habits. So if I know that my goal, like Coach said, is if I want to grow, I've got to get bigger. Well, how do I get bigger? Well, I got to pick up the phone. I've got to build some relationships. I've got to reach out to people. And that has got to be part of my daily habits and not a once in a blue moon activity. Next, I've got to spend more time planting than complaining. Anybody like to complain? Like, I kind of like it sometimes. I can get into a little conversation and I can complain about this and that and the other thing. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I did not need to complain for the last 7 minutes. Sorry, let me hit the reset button. But sometimes we can kind of lean into that space. So if we really want to cultivate joy, I've got to plant a little bit more and complain a little bit less. And then I have to remember that consistency beats intensity almost every time. So just like with that ice cream, if I'm consistent with it, well, it's going to probably get me, well, maybe happy, but maybe not long-term happy, maybe only short-term happy. So if I can build consistency, um, in another space, that there's some stuff happening in
I
the
got it.
chat that I'm not
I
too
got
sure
it.
about. So we're gonna just, sorry guys, we're gonna just keep, we might just do some things while we're, okay, anyway, we're just gonna keep moving on. And we got distracted, but okay. And lastly, we're gonna say what are the relationships that matter the most? None of our consistency really matters if we don't have those relationships that we really, really want. And so let's go cultivate that. Let's go love on those people, water those relationships because that's what matters the most. So that's what we got today. Love you guys.
It's
And
a great word. Great word for today, guys. We love you on this Tuesday. Well, we love you every day, but on this
every
Tuesday,
day of the
we hope
week.
you have an amazing day, okay? We'll see you back tomorrow. See you
And I
guys.
love you guys. I'm not going to unmute because I'm not quite sure what's happening in the chat. So we love you and we'll see you back tomorrow. Bye-bye.